Welcome back and thanks for tuning in for another video. Now, if you're not a fan of the Titanfall series or you just haven't heard, the Titanfall 2 pre-alpha tech test has been getting a lot of hate on the internet since it released, and I really want to talk about that. The point of this video is to address the negative feedback the Titanfall fanbase has been voicing, as well as to give my thoughts and opinions on the game. It's also to show you guys some gameplay, which is quite fun. Now yes, this is the pre-alpha tech test, so it's an unfinished product, but Respawn Entertainment wants the feedback, so let's get into it. First things first, let's talk Titans. One of the first things I noticed when I hopped into a match was that the developers did away with the Titan timer. Instead, you gain the ability to call in your Titan based on working towards objectives and getting kills. While this can make the game more skill-based and encourage playing the game mode, it's supposed to largely be about Titan combat. People aren't too happy with this new way of getting a Titan because instead of having a set timer where you know you'll get several a match, you may not be able to call as many in, thus resulting in less Titan combat on the battlefield. And I largely agree with this complaint and prefer the timer from the original Titanfall. Continuing on to Titan movement and combat, the Titans do feel a little on the weaker side. Even when taking out some grunts or specters, the massive guns feel like they're doing less than the devastating destruction you might expect. I also think the movement isn't as smooth with the Titans in the previous game, and others have voiced this opinion as well. The general opinion here seems to be that they feel a bit clunky. Now, a minor gripe people have also concerning Titans is the third-person camera view when getting into your Titan or dealing a final blow to an enemy Titan. Some people prefer the first-person view that was in Titanfall, and while I agree first-person view for getting into a Titan is cooler, the devs did a really nice job on the third-person animations. If they used a first-person camera view when getting into the Titan, but kept the third-person camera view for dealing a final blow to a Titan, then I think that could be a nice compromise. Another thing that is different in Titanfall 2 is the rodeo system they integrated, which I just don't really prefer at all, and I've heard some others say the same thing. In Titanfall, you could hop on an enemy Titan and shoot it and do whatever, whereas in this game, there are set animations. The first time, you'll get a cutscene-like animation where you pull out the Titan's battery and jump off. The second time, the animation is you putting a grenade in the cavity left where you pulled the battery from and then jumping off. To me, that's just not as fun. However, it's not all bad with the Titans, and some of the things I mentioned could likely be easily fixed. One feature I think is cool is the ability to hop out of your Titan and pick up battery packs scattered around the map, which you can then use to restore your Titan's health upon re-entering. Another thing is that we will have more Titans at our disposal in Titanfall 2, and due to unique Titan abilities, they'll feel more like they have their own individual playstyle, which I really like. For example, you've got Scorch, who can send a wave of fire along the ground and obliterate enemies, and then you've got Ion, who can fire a massive laser from its core. There's even an announced Titan, which we don't get to test out, Ronin, who has a giant sword that can send out a grounded electrical shockwave for dealing massive damage, and I think that's pretty awesome. Now, moving on to pilot combat and movement, there are multiple things that could use tweaking and reconsideration. The first glaring issue is the time to kill, which right now is terrible. It is way too short, especially if you take into account having amped weapons, such as the Alternator, which is an SMG that can take out an opponent in 2 or 3 burst hits. For this reason, now weapons such as the R201 Assault Rifle and Alternator are favorites and go-to weapons because of the quick kill time resulting from them. Also, weapon recoil could use some adjusting as there isn't very much, and that obviously will affect that. The time to kill needs some serious tweaking. Too short of a time and you're dead without ever having a gunfight. And since the gameplay is supposed to be fast moving with wall running and jumping around a map, too long of a time can leave you without getting a kill, which can be equally frustrating. So balance needs to be found somewhere where they either nerf the weapon's firepower some, increase time to kill, or both. Now, the new credit system implemented is something that I like and it's really nice. With it, you can unlock weapons earlier than reaching a certain rank would reward you with. Along these lines, weapons are also leveled individually rather than ranking up your pilot's class to have across-the-board unlocks for them, which I really like. It's fun to work towards upgrading an individual gun that you enjoy using frequently, and this helps provide a sense of game accomplishment. Another change is having boosts instead of the burn cards, which I prefer as I never really used the burn cards and ended up collecting a bunch. I just didn't understand them when I first started playing the game, so they just didn't get used, but I just simply like the boost system better. When it comes to pilot movement, people have voiced their opinions on issues with that as well. The main one is that you are a little sluggish when navigating a map on the ground, and even wall running feels slower and not as smooth. But apparently, Titanfall had a field of view of 70, whereas Titanfall 2's is 60, so that may contribute to the appearance of moving slower even if you actually aren't. I wouldn't call myself a veteran of Titanfall, as I haven't clocked as much playtime of those who purchased it day one, but even I feel the same way. I did notice some minor snags and hangups on walls and buildings when trying to navigate a map. The movement seems less fluid than it did in the first, and combining it with the new grappling hook ability, things can get a little bit tricky. Overall, the grappling hook is a great addition and one I really enjoy using, but it could use some tweaking. For example, it's easy to get caught on part of a building when scaling it or running along its side using that grappling hook. Also, a very slight misaim with it and you won't make a connection with what you want to zip to, so maybe the hitbox for it could be increased. In addition, two things I think need to be removed are the reddish-orange highlight around pilots and the pilot health bar shown above the player. Having such a highlight makes pilots much easier to spot, even when far away, and I feel like the health bar simply isn't needed. We already have a sonar ability for pilots, which is really cool, and you can use that to reveal pilots in the area it's deployed, and I think that's good enough. Transitioning to game modes, in this tech preview, we get to have a go at Pilots vs. Pilots, Hardpoint, and the all-new Bounty Hunt, which is, quote, the new mode that we feel is an evolution of our attrition mode, end quote. Pilots vs. Pilots is a classic 8v8 deathmatch with no Titans or minions, and that's about all there is to say on that. In Hardpoint, you work with teammates to control areas, you can capture an area and then continue capturing it to amp it up, but one complaint people had about this game mode was the difficulty of getting a Titan. However, the devs heard the feedback and released a hotfix making Titans more common in a Hardpoint match, which is a good thing. Also, there are no minions and people would like to see them included in multiple game modes, myself included. My favorite of these three is Bounty Hunt, and that is largely because of having minions. Minions make maps feel fuller and more action-packed and give less skilled players something to shoot at, which adds to the enjoyment factor. And with the new Titan call-in system Respawn Entertainment has implemented, having grunts and specters to kill is a necessity if you want to maximize the Titans earned in a match. Even still, Titanfall's attrition had more frequent minion spawning and minions in general, and that is something that appears to be lacking as of now. I hope that's not the case for the final build. So lastly, let's talk maps. Thus far, we have been given two very different ones, Homestead and Boomtown, but we will be getting a third called Ford Base Could I. I'm not a fan of either map, but if I had to pick, Boomtown would be my favorite. These maps are a pretty far off deviation from the first Titanfall. Both maps have large open areas which go mainly unexplored, as pilots tend to stick closer to the center map structures, and therefore Titans too, since that's where the action is. On Homestead, the only real encouraging factor to visit the outer portions of the map is to take out minions and bounty hunt that drop in, and that can be similar for Boomtown as well. As a result of a lack of structures, a direct effect is had on the pilot movement. The original Titanfall had a large emphasis on wall running and jumping, and you could even traverse some maps without touching the ground. That seems to be lacking here, and as a result of having less obstacles and more close proximity structures, player movement is drastically altered and movement speed is just slowed down. Yes, you can use the grappling hook ability to help combat that, but if you choose to go with another class ability instead, you're left at a loss with grappling hook users having the upper hand. However, you could argue that this level of design could force players to be more strategic with planning their movements, and maybe that's what the developers are going for. Overall, I really like the themes of the maps we've seen, but I think there could be some improvements. Now, the loudest but least specific complaint I've heard is that all the Titanfall fanbase really wanted was the same game for the sequel, but with more Titans and customization options. I can understand that because it's like the sentiment, why fix what isn't broken? Some of the changes that Respawn Entertainment has made go against that, while others we can largely agree are nice additions, such as the new network feature where players can socialize and find new friends to play with. This feature will hopefully help Titanfall 2's longevity. As one last thought before I go, I do like the HUD and the arrangement of things on it, but maybe the bottom left portion could be shrunk down a little to not be as intrusive on the screen. But that's all my time for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay and hearing my thoughts on the Titanfall 2 pre-alpha tech test so far, and I really encourage you to try out this preview for yourselves if you haven't, as it is overall quite an enjoyable experience. If you have, let's hear your thoughts in the comments below, as they're important for getting the game we all want. If you agreed with what I said, Let me know if you have anything to add. Same goes. I know a lot of people are calling for this game to be delayed, as it's supposed to release on October 28th, which isn't too far away, but maybe if Respawn Entertainment gets enough feedback, they'll rethink that decision. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, and stay tuned to my channel as I'll have more Titanfall 2 videos as the preview continues. I'll leave you guys with the rest of the gameplay to enjoy, and as always, thanks for watching.
Stand by for Titanfall.
Hostile pilot detected. Laser rifle on target. Pilot mode online. Hostile pilot KIA. Enemy pilot has ejected. Warning, enemy pilot attacking. Hostile down. Warning, major damage sustained.
This right, they don't stand a chance. Keep fighting, pilot.
Laser core ready. Critical damage. Tripwire may be useful to deter threats. Warning, hostile Titanfall detected. Target neutralized. Friendly Titan attacking your target. Warning, enemy pilot attacking. Laser core standing by. Firing laser core. Enemy Titan destroyed. Pilot ejecting.
Now that's how you earn a paycheck.